Our adventure in this show is very unusual. It's all about gar fishing. Now, let me give you a little background to this story. I was volunteering in a booth at the Huron River Fest Day or something. I forget exactly what the name of it was. And so I was walking around to some of the other booths, and I saw a friend of mine, Dave Siegel. And in front of his booth, he had a whole number of pelts and furs, and Dave's the environmental ed teacher in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. He's the coordinator there. And he had a bunch of these fish with long snouts. And I went and I picked up one of these fish. I thought it was plastic, and I stuck my finger in the mouth, and it was like, yeah, I got cut. And Dave says, that's a real fish. That's a gar. And I said, where do you catch gar? What are gar? And he said, you know, they're all over. They're in all these inland lakes. They're a predator, very, very prehistoric fish, and they live in the lakes, and they mostly are at night. They're active at night, and they eat bluegills, and they're just a predator kind of fish that live in all these lakes. And I said, well, where do they come from, or how do you catch them? And he says, well, it's very unusual. Their mouths are so bony that you can't use a hook and line. And actually, I had read that some people actually fish by using a piece of nylon cord, and when the fish bites the nylon cord, their teeth get all snarled up in the cord, because you can't just use a hook. It won't take it. Well, he said because of some family, friends, and his parents, he had inherited some gar fishing equipment, had tried it out, went out with a couple friends of his, and they had become addicted to gar fishing. And it's not really fishing, it's more like hunting. And as you'll see in the video, the setup is to use a boat, these spears, and the fishing is primarily from about midnight to 3 or 4 in the morning. So you have to be ready to stay up all night. And you travel around in the shallows of these inland lakes, and with these big spotlights, and you cast the spotlight back and forth, and eventually you see these fish patrolling around. They kind of show up pretty brightly. At that point, you have to get over them, hit them with the spear. Hopefully, when you hit them with the spear, you let go, because they're big wooden spears. And then eventually the fish will dive, but the buoyancy of the spear will bring the fish up to the surface, and then you can pick up the fish. I said, well, what do you do with the fish afterwards? And Dave, on our trip, had made gar teriyaki and gar jerky for us, and we were able to snack on that while we were doing our gar hunting. When I told my wife I was going to go out at midnight to spear gar, she thought I was completely crazy, and most of my other friends thought this was about the oddest thing I'd ever done. And come to think of it, it may have been one of the oddest things I'd ever done. It's a very, very odd, very primitive form of fishing. And I think you'll have a little taste of this. Remember, this is all done midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. And so the color of the video that you're about to see is primarily green and white, which I was using the night vision ability of my video camera to do these pictures. The weekend before and the weekend after we went out together, apparently they had great nights of gar fishing where they caught large gar, and many of them. The night we went out was not quite as productive, but I think you'll see that we caught a few of these very, very primitive fish that are really quite abundant. And when you're swimming in an inland lake, you just have to know that these guys are patrolling around. So I hope you enjoy gar fishing. Okay, so this is Dave Siegel. He's the environmental ed person at Ann Arbor Public Schools. And why don't you explain what you got in your hand there?
What I've got here is a long-nosed garpike, which the fossil records go back 300 million years. It's a very old species, but it's a very successful one too. And it lives in just about any water in Michigan, river, lake. It can grow to be about 18 pounds, 5 to 6 feet in Michigan. And this is sort of a baby. This is the skin. I had the rest for lunch. And I just paint them up to make them look semi-realistic. That's not really the exact coloring. I'm still practicing on the artistic nature of painting them. These are gar pike that have just been soaked in salt and alum just to sort of de-slime them and tan the skin and make it into some kind of leathery material. And then after that, they can be painted and look a little more realistic. I just hate to throw the skins out there. So interesting. In fact, they're solid enough that farmers, before they had steel plows, they would cover their wooden plows with the gar skin to make them last longer.
Oh, wow. Okay, Dave, so how'd you get involved with gar fishing? It's kind of a...
it's an interesting story. My family had known the Steebs, old farmers that farmed out where Arborland sits today in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And after a while, they had inherited Al Steeb's fishing equipment, which is right here. These are spearheads made by Grandpa Steeb and removable screw-in. I don't know what you exactly call them, but so you can change not only the spearhead, but you can also change the spear tines if you hit a fish and break it or bend it. And so this was in the 50s. This was their entertainment for the weekend. They'd take this out with another piece of equipment called a jacklight, which was a gasoline-driven light where you could see all the fish within 30 yards of the boat. And this combination would bring in so many fish, they'd fill up a boat full of spearable fish, dump it on shore, and go back and fill up another boat until they couldn't stand in the boat. That's the story I got.
So then did you go fishing with your dad or with Mr. Steeb?
I never got to go with any of them. My brother eventually gave me all the equipment after he had gone, so I learned this sort of on my own, just taking the equipment out and using lights instead of the gas equipment. No one would go with me with this environmental nightmare of a jacklight system with gasoline dripping in the water and the water being on fire around the boat. It just seemed dangerous, I guess, to most people, and probably today we could be arrested for many environmental infractions. So we use the electric lights today, which are just as good. At least I seem to be catching fish.
So how often do you go fishing, or how long have you been doing this?
I started this in '96, and that first year I did a lot. I really got hooked, and we brought in about 50 fish. This year, some friends of mine have been back into being hooked again, and they call me every weekend. So every weekend since, I guess, June, we've been out, and it's nearly August now. So we've gotten 57 fish this year.
And that's the guys we're going to be going out fishing with?
That's right, and they're pretty gung-ho about every weekend and catching lots of fish.
And now when do you, we're going to be fishing late at night, right?
Right, usually the animals don't come out until about midnight or after, and that's when the fishing gets good. And they're out, the gar pike are out to hunt their food, which are small bluegills, or actually any fish that'll fit in their mouth. They'll eat each other too. And other fish that we can spear are dogfish and carp, and they're generally out about that time looking for their meals. Dogfish tend to eat crayfish, and the carp, I guess, will eat anything.
Okay, cool.
Steam came
Well,
out. Some of those make these little vortexes. Some of them are like that wide, tornado-like, what, 2 feet tall.
Oh, there were some tall ones that run up
You
high.
can shine them with the light on. Most of them were like that big. You were
pretty
cutting them in
amazing.
half, weren't you? You could slide your hand right
Oh
through.
yeah, you could cut them in half. Ruin the spearing now.
I don't like the stir-fried gar at all.
Really?
Yeah. We saw him right away last time. Good shot. Did you get that, huh? That was nice. Nice.
First one of the night.
Yeah, finally. Schneid off, thank the Lord.
So is he wiggling around down there, or what's
Just
it?
a little bit. Let me just bring him
There
in
he is.
You like to just have a net underneath him. He's a white one.
Yeah,
They're
white.
really whitish.
I think maybe the sun bleaches them out. We can put them right here on the floor. We can get a little film of them, maybe.
Pretty.
There he is. Yeah. Wow.
that line down in front of his
Yeah, wow.
that line right through the middle there.
Here, I gotta turn.
Uh-oh.
He won't open up.
Okay.
So is that like a 1-year-old Gar? Or?
Yep, they say they can grow 20 inches in 1 year.
Is there any drinking water or anything
All right.
in there?
He was working it up. That's
Where's the pole? Nice. Same time.
Same time.
Same time, same place.
Oh, you got 2 tines in them. Split them.
Whoa, just about.
Killer.
Just about.
Little guys. Man,
Boy, he is stuck big.
You might have to cooler him.
Yeah.
That
Boy,
one
I
was
just
right
about
on the
took him
right
in
side
half.
of the boat for the camera to catch everything.
Oh.
I don't like that as tines, Pat. I was gonna say
Look at that
something to you
tine,
about
man.
it.
Look at that. Look at the length of that time.
Wow.
That was a top fish.
I think you've seen the slowest night we've ever had.
Oh yeah, that's what they all say.
We're on average 8 to 10. Yeah.
Broken banjo.
Wish I could make it fall. Did you get that?
No, I missed it.
Oh,
That was, yeah, it was too. It came up too fast, and my thing was on.
You got
So you just let the light. So you let the pole float like that.
right.